Hello, Michael Grasso with Private Pook Games, here with a retrospective of 2025 that I am tentatively calling Hits, Misses, and OKs. Hits being games that I really enjoyed that were released in 2025 or very, very close to 2025. Misses, games that I didn't so much enjoy subjectively, and then OKs, games that I sort of liked but either maybe fell off the bandwagon with or just didn't like them as much as I was hoping to. For all of these, please take all of this with a grain of salt. There are going to be omissions from this list because there are just games I never get to. I am a person with a channel that people are watching here and there, which is nice. I don't get free games from many companies. I'm not at that level, and fine with me if I never am. So just be aware that these are just things that I was able to buy. I cannot buy and play every single game, so there may be omissions. Don't take that with any offense. And if there's something I haven't played that I don't mention in this video that you think I would like, please put them in the comments. Just be respectful. Remember that these sort of lists get people hot and bothered for some reason. They're just lists. Make one that you like if you would like. That's totally fine. So to begin with, I'm going to break these up. Let's see what our first one is. Whoop! You guys already see what my second one is because apparently I can't make my slides work. I wanted to start with Unstoppable because this was the most recent one I've played. I got this technically speaking, I bought this on January, 8th or something like that. But it is a game that was released in 2025, so it's definitely a new one. But in the very few days I've had it, I have played this a ton. I had heard a lot about how it was good, kind of felt like maybe it wasn't going to be up my alley. I do like deck builders, but I find that a lot of them, go stale pretty quick unless there's something specific with them. There is definitely something specific with this. It is a fairly priced game. I found it at a store. It's been a little hard to find, but I found it at one of my local gaming stores, and it even had the one expansion that's been released for it. It is a whole lot of fun, and it's definitely a game that as soon as you're done with it, you want to play it again. It's the sort of thing you can also get in a game. Once you know the mechanics, you can get in a game pretty quickly. And not always because you're utterly stoppable, despite what the title says. So I've really enjoyed this one. I'm looking forward to continuing to play it. There is something to be said about the fact that it only has 3 bosses, but those 3 bosses come with a lot of replayability, a lot of different strategies, and the choices of upgrade cards and the choices of characters you can play as each time, especially with the expansions, really makes that pretty good. So Unstoppable, the first one I wanted to mention. My second one is one that a lot of folks share with me. It's Elder Scrolls Betrayal of the Second Era. This was one of my review of this game initially was one of the first videos I did where I was a little bit shocked with the number of people who watched it. I was used to maybe getting 100, 150 views. I put this one in and I got thousands of views, and wow, that was really cool. A lot of people feel passionately. And it was really nice engagement because it was people saying, hey, I love the things you love about it. I totally understand some of the things you have questions about. I did a 6-month retrospective where I kind of talked about the things that I was worried about getting old and going stale, and essentially said, you know what, it didn't really go stale in the way that I thought. And this game's been out long enough that people who love it know they love it. They're still playing it. People who have kind of either cooled on it or decided it's not for them, no, it's not for them. This is a really huge success for Chip Theory Games. It's going to have more content coming that I've already pledged for. It's a really fun game if it's for you. Criticisms of it are valid. Just for me, a lot of those criticisms didn't end up being things that detract from my enjoyment of the game very much, but I totally understand if some of those things don't. It is true that each map really isn't all that different. It doesn't matter so much which direction you go, so much as do you go to a village or a town? Do you go to a combat? Do you go to a peaceful landmark? The rest of it, doesn't really matter, but the game's still fun, and I've enjoyed playing it, and I love whenever I get new content for it. Third one, Kingdoms Forlorn. This was one that arrived a couple months, maybe in more than a couple months, I can't remember. But I've definitely really enjoyed this. I was a big fan of Aeon Trespass Odyssey. Kingdoms Forlorn is both so many similar mechanics, but really does not play the same. The only things they really share in particular are the attack and hit systems are very similar. You're exploring a map that's made with tiles. The rest of the games operate very differently and take on a different way that they work with narratives, and I'm really here for that. I still, haven't finished all the campaigns for Aeon Trespass Odyssey. I'm looking forward to 12 Sins of Heracles when that comes up, and I still like this game. It is coming on and off my table, and it's a little bit of a table hog, but I'm also getting better at setting it up, breaking it down, so I do think that gets pretty well with practice. And I will say this box is, I'm not going to say it's great for storing the game, but a little bit easier than Aeon Trespass Odyssey. Next one, Luthier. This was my favorite purchase at Gen Con. I didn't actually even, I'll admit it, I didn't get a chance to play it because I didn't see that any games were going on in the events, but I was talking to the author of the rulebook, and I'd seen it at the last Gen Con, and I'd been like, wow, I really should pledge for that, and I didn't. I haven't even played Cocktails, but I actually went and pledged for their new one because I love this game so much. It is thematically really enticing to me, but it is also such a good Euro game, and it is just the way the hidden bidding, the secret bidding works is just really wonderful. I think the solo automa is way better than anyone gives it credit for. I know there's people who love it and people who find it a little cumbersome. I feel like once you get it, it is just a wonderful automa, and I just do not get tired of this game. I can't wait till they release something else for it. This one's gonna make a few people mad, but I hope not too mad, because, look, you should enjoy your life. Don't spend your time getting mad at some dude on YouTube who shouldn't matter to you, which is me. Gloomhaven 2nd Edition. I know there's a lot of feelings about this. One, some people are just sick of Gloomhaven, and I get that. I totally get it. I found that it had been long enough since I'd done any Gloomhavening. I had a chance to try out 2nd Edition, and man, this is just a really cool way to dive back into this game. And I know that opinions are going to be mixed here. If you kind of feel like this is a retread, there's validity to that. I totally understand what you're saying. It may not be worth it for you to sell a game that, used to cost this much, now it costs this much. That's how inflation and tariffs and all this other stuff work, I guess. My opinion is, I like this better than Frosthaven. I jumped into Frosthaven. I enjoyed it. There's pieces of it that in the end are a little too cumbersome, and I was like, it's not that I mind complexity, but there's some parts of it that I did not find as rewarding in the city phase as I did with some of the city phase in Gloomhaven, and going back to this version of Gloomhaven was nice after realizing that as much as I did enjoy Frosthaven, and they did amazing things with the classes and the story and the artwork had improved, I really did want to go back to kind of what Gloomhaven did well and just refine that. So it's almost like they took all the things they made better with Frosthaven, and then they left out the things that I felt just weren't really necessary to make the game better, and said, let's apply this to the original Gloomhaven everyone fell in love with. That to me is awesome. I like it. I totally get it, though, if you see this as just Cephalofair putting out something they didn't need to. Totally get it. But for me, it works. I think we're into misses now, so this is the part where, okay, I guess if I'm going to make someone mad other than with Gloomhaven, this will be it. Nope, these are okays. Sorry, I must have these out of order. This looks like these are my okays. I meant to do hits, misses, then okays. This is an okay. 20 Strong Tanglewoods. I got all the Tanglewood stuff. It's 20 Strong's good, but I also I bounced back and forth with it. When I first played it after purchasing it, I thought it was okay. Put it away, thought about selling it. Glad I didn't, because I brought it back out again, tried more, tried the original Solar Sentinels, tried the other decks, realized that I really love the Hoplomachus deck. I love the other ones too, but the Hoplomachus is probably my favorite, and I thought, man, I'm glad I didn't sell this. This is really good. I played the Tanglewoods ones. I've been messing around with them, and I will admit I've not played every single color. I played red in one of the other ones, and I have found that it is pretty cool, but just not at the level I wanted it to be, and that's okay. 20 Strong is the kind of game that it's okay to bounce to every once in a while. I don't need to play it obsessively. I don't need to do one game and then immediately do another one. That's unstoppable for that, or something like that. It's in this place where I think right now I'm just kind of not feeling 20 strong very much, but I've also found that I might not like it in October, but then I put it away and I pull it out in November and I feel like playing it. So this is going in okays right now because I understand what the strength of the game is. I understand what the strength of these decks is too, and what they're adding to this. But it just felt very okay. I like what they were trying to do. Each individual encounter in it did not feel quite as exciting as I want these to be in a game like this. Another okay. Arydia. Arydia. Man. This one is... God, I want to like this game. And I see what it's doing, and it's so inspiring to look at. And yet, every time I'm playing it, I feel a little bit like I'm dragging myself through a metaphorical swamp. It's really, like, as a piece of art display, it is so interesting how they've made board gaming into this big adventure where you can explore wherever you want, and your character board, every piece is designed to fit in a certain way. Everything is designed with storing in mind and how things change, and even as you go through different NPC interactions, like your titles change. That is such a cool idea, and yet every time I play it, I'm just not having that much fun. I don't really care about the story. The combat's pretty good, but I feel like I'm playing Arydia, and it's this big, amazing accomplishment, and yet it's kind of like it's the most okay campaign game I've ever played. And that's a compliment in a weird way, and also kind of it just isn't quite hitting for me. But then again, I haven't sold it. I feel like I set it on a shelf. It's even somewhere. It might even be in the background here somewhere. I don't know. I have a few things to clean up. But it's just, I want to, like, jump into it because I can feel how good this game is to people who are connecting with it. And maybe I'm just not going to. That's okay. That's okay. Another one. This one kind of a little more heartbreaking because Sword and Sorcery: Ancient Chronicles. I mean, I like the first one too. That I can't remember. I can't remember the name of it now, but the original one I like too. But Ancient Chronicles in particular is one of my favorite dungeon crawl game campaigns ever. Is it number one? I don't know, but it's definitely up there. There are very few games, much less dungeon crawlers in particular, that I enjoyed and got sucked into like that campaign. And Abyssal Legends is okay. I don't know. Maybe it's not the game itself. Maybe it's just I'm done with Sword and Sorcery. I don't know. But or maybe I just have to come back to it again. I did try to jump into it after being away from Sword and Sorcery for a while. There's an argument to be made, and I've thought about doing this where I'm going to set the game aside, and then maybe 6 months from now, I'm going to jump in at the very beginning. I'm going to go into Ancient Chronicles. I'm going to do Northwind Tales. I'm going to do Abyssal Legends. Because I think that is the way it's designed to be played. And perhaps there's something missing from this that I will get if and only if I do it in that order. So it's okay. Maybe one day it will be a hit. And now we're into Nemesis. Okay, so Elden Ring. So I shouldn't react like that because I know that every board game is someone's work of passion. So I don't like inherently being negative. But Elden Ring, my experience was unique. I was at Gen Con, and I was using my generic tickets, and I kind of had a point where I knew I could most likely get into either Andromeda's Edge or Elden Ring. And I chose Elden Ring, a game that it turned out I really didn't like. Andromeda's Edge is a game I didn't play at Gen Con, but eventually did get a copy of it, and I adore it. So, my mistake. My screw up. But the thing about Elden Ring, and what's really was so inherently frustrating about it, is I'm not one of these folks who really doesn't like Steamforged games. Let me be clear, if you do hate Steamforged games, I get it. They've broken a lot of trust through their Kickstarters, from what I understand. I did not pledge for any of them, but I understand that feeling. I found the Dark Souls board game to be one of the most boring things I've ever tried to learn. Same thing with RuneScape Kingdoms. It just such a drag to try and learn, even less fun to play. But here's the thing. I love their Resident Evil game. I absolutely love the Resident Evil game. It's great. And I actually really like the Dark Souls card game. And when I played this at Gen Con, when I played Elden Ring, we played a boss battle. They sampled a boss battle, and it played very much like an expanded, built upon Dark Souls, the card game. The way that you use your placement on the battlefield and your stances seemed like an improvement on that. So I was like, all right, let's buy one of the smaller core boxes. I bought Weeping Peninsula. Took it home and realized that with the exception of boss fights, every other part of this game is an absolute slog to play. The narrative parts are okay, but it's essentially you're walking around. You see a pile of slime. Do you walk around it or not walk around it? Okay, turn to page 3. Choose your own adventure stuff that really ends up meaning nothing because it's a vague narrative. That's how Elden Ring is. It's very vague, so narrative stuff isn't going to work the best. The exploration is utterly random and unengaging, and then the fights that are not boss battles are just trivial and silly. And I know that there's people who have kind of grown warm to this game. I could not. This one was a huge miss, and it was probably one of my more disappointing misses because I could see that it was based off of a system that I actually really like. Storyfold Wildwoods. This is not a huge miss, but it doesn't work for me. I meant to do a review for this one because this is one of those games that it didn't work for me, but I know the kind of gamer it works for, and it is really well designed. So I want to say, as this shows up in my misses, I want to be really clear with you. You should not take this as me bashing this game. This game is custom made for a certain type of player. It is really well designed. It is immaculately produced. Every part of the box is designed to both save your game, to fit your components, and it is so easy to set up. And it's not because the game isn't complex. It's because the game is designed from the ground up for solo play that is easy to engage with. I just didn't happen to connect very well with the story. I know some people like the narrative. To me, it was kind of like Ori-esque, but just, hey, here's a corrupted creature. Okay, here's another corrupted creature. Oh, here's another corrupted creature, but now you're on a mountain instead of a river, blah, blah, blah. That's not really what it is. I'm not giving you spoilers, but to me, that part of it did not engage me. The parts of it where they tried to throw surprises at you, not for me. What else? Deep Regrets. This is another one where this was definitely an okay. I remember I reviewed this and I said that I liked the first I liked the multiplayer. I didn't really like the solo. I kept trying the solo. I tried to get into it. It just doesn't work for me. I'm sure there are some it does, but to me it's about the equivalent of drawing a card from a deck and seeing if it's an ace or a 5. The art is beautiful. It is amazing. That box is just pristine. And I also find that the 2-player one can be very fun. It is very random. If you're okay with that and you're into the idea of catching fish and having the pictures of the fish be what your ultimate reward is, then it's a good game for you. But it ended up being an okay for me. And this is the part where I'm realizing my okays and my misses are out of order. I apologize for that. Vantage, I filed this one, if I remember. It's a miss for me, but I had it in okay, but I moved it to miss. But I had it in okay, but I moved it to miss. It's another game where I can see what's happening. I understand why people love it. To me, it just feels so random, and I don't really get into the like the whole writing your own story part of this. I understand that some people really love how the narrative builds up and how you play multiple games and you start to understand the planet. I did not find that engaging enough. I still have it and I haven't sold it. I've thought about introducing it to my middle schoolers. They haven't, they've seen the box and they're like, oh, it looks okay, but, we'll see. Maybe I'll get them into it at some point. But for me, I get it. I get it. This is another one where don't take it as me bashing the game. This is a wonderfully designed game. I'm impressed by the design. Just don't enjoy it myself. Speakeasy. Now we're into, I didn't say I was going to do these, but now we're into games that I didn't try that I would like to. I've never played a Lacerda game, and I'm realizing that's a huge blind spot for me as a board gamer. I've heard that there's other ones I could start with, but I really love the theme of Speakeasy, so at some point in time I'm hoping to grab a copy of it. If you've played it, let me know what you think. Old King's Crown. This one, I can't remember why I put this and want to play, but I do know that I believe there's either a new crowdfunding campaign that I'm going to pledge to, or I have pledged to it, or I click save and notify me on launch. I think it's the last thing I said, but I remember reading about it and thinking, I'm interested in this. I kind of want to keep an eye out for it. Blood. This one I thought about doing. It's a boss battler. I always love boss battlers. I feel kind of silly, like if I feel kind of silly having out a game called Blood. Like, it just seems sort of weird. Like, that's cool if it works for you. I don't mind content that's bloody. It's just the name. Like, I look at that picture and it kind of makes me want to laugh. So I feel like if it's sitting on my shelf, someone will be like, "Hey, dude, is blood good?" And I don't know. Seems a little weird. Like, to me, it's like the equivalent of having a game called Donkey. Just, okay, a board game called Donkey, a board game called Blood. All right, but anyways, Lightspeed Arena. This is one I actually heard about from Mark's channel, Not Board Gaming. He talked about this, and I don't know if I would like this game, but I really want to get a copy of this. This is a game that came out in 2025, apparently. I think my board game club at the middle school where I work would love this. So I really want to get this specifically to try it with them, because my understanding is it's a very physical, there's a lot of like things going around. It causes a lot of excitement and laughter. I have lots of like heavier board game fans in there, but I also have kids there who are like, can we just play something that's exciting and fun? And this, my understanding is that's what this is. SETI Space Agencies, I loved. SETI was another one I loved at the last Gen Con. SETI is not a 2025 game, but Space Agencies is a 2025 expansion that apparently no one who wasn't at Essen can find. Apparently it was at Essen. I think I probably could find a copy if I looked hard enough online, but I'm trying to. I know I told my local, friendly local gaming store that I would buy it from them, and I want to stay loyal to that. So hoping to play this because I loved SETI. I had fun playing that at Gen Con, and that's probably why I went to Elden Ring instead of Andromeda's Edge, because I had a space game and I figured, let's do another fantasy game. Not to say SETI and Andromeda's Edge are the same type of space game in any way, but just was my thought at the time, which was wrong. Rove. This one may also make the Gloomhaven haters mad. I've heard that Rove is a really cool implementation. It's not exactly Gloomhaven, but it's clearly inspired by it. It was designed by people who made a really, really well-received fan expansion for Gloomhaven that I've never played, but I've heard is good. So I was looking at some of the mechanics of it, and I definitely want to try this one out when they finally get their next batch out. And then what else? Nemesis Retaliation. I enjoyed Nemesis when I finally played it. I was really late to the game. I didn't love it enough to feel like I need to own a copy, but from what I understand, if I ever do, Nemesis Retaliation might be a really good version of it to know. I know pretty much people say Lockdown is not the one to get. You get the original, but then I've heard from some people Retaliation might be the finest form of this game. So just something I'm keeping in mind. And then lastly, Star Trek Captain's Chair. I'm not a huge Star Trek fan. I mean, I like Star Trek. If it's on, I'll watch it, but I've never been a Trekkie at all. That said, I've heard a lot about this game. I've heard it's got like deck building and other things in it, and I've heard it's just very immaculately designed, and every time I look at a piece of it or hear someone describing it, it makes me want to try it even more. So those are the ones I want to try, games I missed. There's other games I missed. Please let me know if there's games that you really know that I missed and want to put on, because I love hearing about more games. And just keep the conversation positive. Hit subscribe, give me a thumbs up, a like, and hope you had a great 2025, or as best as we could in this weird world we're in, and you have an even better 2026.